Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdu li waliyihi wa salatu ala nabiyyihi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi al-muta'addibina bi adabih. Amma ba'du fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Subhanallahi amma yasifun. Sadaqallahul azim. Allah Most High is perfect and free from any faults or deficiencies. This is based on the Sunni belief that Allah is powerful over everything that falls within possibility. However, those things which are impossibilities and defects, they have no connection to the divine and pure power of Allah Most High. Unfortunately, some misguided and deviant sects have spread beliefs which are contradictory and against this mainstream Sunni belief. We shall examine who they are and how they deviated. I have with me Al-Barāhin-ul-Qāti'ah ala Dhalam al-Anwar al-Sāti'ah. This text by Khalil Ahmad Ambetwi was endorsed by Rashid Ahmad Gangohi, the scholars of Deobandī. It is their belief that firstly, it is possible for Allah to lie, Imkān-ul-Kadhib, and that lying falls within the power of Allah Most High. And they assert that this is because of Khulful Wa'id. Khulful Wa'id means when Allah promises punishment to wrongdoers, then Allah also has the power not to punish them. So according to the Deobandis, if Allah promises punishment to wrongdoers and then He has the power to not punish them, this is the possibility of lying according to their understanding. However, we will see how this is totally incorrect. Another reason which they give is that because they say we say Allah is all powerful, when the creation, the makhluk, is able to do certain things, but Allah is unable to do those very same things, then according to their logic, that would render Allah powerless and incapable. This is also incorrect, and we will examine why. In this book, on the second page of Al-Barāhin-ul-Qāti'ah, he mentions, हाँ हक ताला को अपनी मखलूक की मिसल पैदा करने पर कादिर ना होना आज तक किसी अहले इल्म ने ना कहा था. He says that for Allah to be powerful in creating anything like His creation, nobody from the people of knowledge have disagreed with this. जैसा इस पर दहम सदी के मुब्तदीन ने कहा है और अज्ज़ क़ादिर मुतलक के मुक़िर हुए. Like the innovators of the 13th century of the Islamic era have done so, and they have rendered Allah powerless. He is all powerful, but they have rendered Him incapable by doing so. What he means here is the Sunni scholars, they opposed this view of possibility of Allah lying. When they opposed this view, they said that it is impossible for Allah to lie. The Deobandī retort to that was that you people have ascribed incapability to Allah. Or inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir ke khilaf aqīdah theraya. Then he says that these opponents of his, the Sunni Muslims, they have opposed inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir, the verse in the Quran where Allah says, indeed Allah is powerful over everything. इस पर मौलिफ को अफसोस और इबरत ना हुई, बस ये माजरा लायके दीद है. He says this is a shocking matter, that our opponent, his opponent was Mawlana Abdul Sami' Rampuri alayhi rahmah, who wrote Al-Anwar al-Sāti'ah, the book which was written in defense of Sunni creed. Now, this Deobandī writer, he says that the Sunni scholars have deviated because they have said Allah is incapable, whereas this is not the case in fact. कि तमाम उम्मत के खिलाफ हक ताला के अज्ज पर अकीदा ठहराना तो मुअल्लिफ के पेशवायान का दीन है. He says that the opponent's belief and the belief of all the leaders of the opponent, meaning the Sunni scholars, that their belief is that Allah is incapable. और मुअल्लिफ इस पर अफसोस नहीं करता, and the opponent does not regret this. और इम्कान काज़िब को खुल्फ वईद की फरा है जो कुदमा में मुख्तलफ फी हो चुका है. Then he says that Imkān-ul-Kadhib, the possibility of Allah lying, is a type of khulf wa'id, according to the Deobandis. The possibility of lying is a type of khulf wa'id, meaning for Allah to go against his promise of punishment, his threat of punishment, is in effect a lie. So he states that this matter has been differed upon by the early scholars of Islam. This is in accordance to the Deobandis. Here I have Fatawa Rashidiyya of Rashid Ahmad Gangohi, leading scholar of Deoband, and this is another authoritative text in their sect. It mentions in this Fatawa on page 216 explicitly, Imkān-ul-Kadhib se murad dukhūl-e-Kadhib tahte qudrat-e bari ta'ala hai. The possibility of lying means that lying falls within the power of Allah Most High. चुनांचे अहले अकल पर मख्फी नहीं, बस मज़हब जमीय मुहक्किकीन अहले इस्लाम व सूफियाए किराम व उलमाए अज़ाम का इस मसले में यह है कि कज़िब दाखिल तहते कुदरत बारी ताला है. He says, in fact, the people of intellect, this matter is not hidden from them, and all of the thinkers, the research scholars, and the noble Sufis, spiritual guides, and great scholars of Islam are agreed that lying falls within the divine power of Allah Most High. So according to him, there's a unanimous agreement of the Muslim scholars and intellectuals that lying is within the divine power. And then he presents two verses to support his argument. قُلْ هُوَ الْقَادِرُ عَلَىٰ أَنْ يَبْعَثَ عَلَيْكُمْ عَذَابًا. Allah Most High states in Surah 6 verse 65 that say he is powerful to inflict punishment upon you. Then the second verse, Surah 8 verse 33, وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُعَذِّبَهُمْ وَأَنْتَ فِيهِمْ. And Allah will not punish them whilst you are amongst them. So he mentions Ayat Thaniya mein Nafi Azab ka wada farmaya. In the second verse, Allah promises not to punish. और जाहिर है कि अगर इसका खिलाफ हो तो कज़िब लाजिम आए. He says, and it is apparent that if Allah goes against his promise not to punish, and in fact punishes, this will necessitate lying. मगर आयत उला से इसका तहते कुदरत बारी ताला दाखिल होना मालूम हुआ. He says, however, from the first verse we understand that lying is within the power of Allah Most High. बस साबित हुआ कि कज़िब दाखिल तहते कुदरत बारी ताला जल्ला व अला है. He says, therefore, it is proven that lying falls within the divine power of Allah Most High. क्यों ना हो? And why should it not be the case? He says, وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. And indeed he is powerful over everything. So the Deobandi belief is that it is possible for Allah to lie. What does this mean? That if Allah promises to punish people, then he possesses the power and ability not to punish them. This possession of his power not to punish them, the Deobandis understand this as lying. So there's possibility there is a possibility there that Allah can decide not to punish them. So the Deobandis say that's a possibility of lying. However, none of the Sunni scholars have ever mentioned this to be the case, that lying is possible for Allah Most High. This is not a Sunni belief. Let us see in the classical works, the commentaries of the Holy Quran, and the texts of Aqidah, of Islamic beliefs from the Sunni tradition, what have our great Mashaykh said. This is Hashiyatul Sawi of Imam Sawi al-Maliki rahimahullah in the first volume under Surah 2 verse 20. Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Imam Sawi al-Maliki mentions من القدرة وهو صفة أزلية قائمة بذاته تعالى تتعلق بالممكنات إيجادا أو إعداما على وفق الإرادة والعلم. He says the divine power means it is an attribute which is eternal and established with the essence of Allah Most High, and it is connected to possibilities, whether they are existent or non-existent, in accordance to the will and knowledge of Allah. Meaning, all possibilities, whether they exist or whether they don't exist, but Allah has the power to do them in accordance with His will and His knowledge. But note the important word he used, possibilities. Here is Hashiyatul Dasuqi by Imam Dasuqi al-Maliki alayhi rahmah. This is a commentary of his upon Barahin of Imam Sanusi alayhi rahmah. These were leading scholars of Ahlus Sunnah, and as in every other text of Aqidah, he mentions the same principle in this text. He says, relating to the divine power and divine will of Allah, وَهِيَ الْقُدْرَةُ وَالْإِرَادَةُ الْمُتَعَلِّقَتَانِ بِجَمِيعِ الْمُمْكِنَاتِ, that the power and will of Allah Most High, both of these are connected to all possibilities. يعني أن القدرة والإرادة متعلقهما واحد, i.e. divine power and divine will, they are connected to one thing. وَهُوَ الْمُمْكِنَاتُ دُونَ الْوَاجِبَاتِ وَالْمُسْتَحِيلَاتِ, and that is possibilities, not necessary matters or impossible matters. So this he makes very clear. Then in the Matan of Sanusi it mentions a deviant belief. فنقل عن ابن حزم أنه قال في الملل والنحل إنه تعالى قادر على أن يتخذ ولدا إذ لو لم يقدر عليه لكان عاجزا. فانظر اختلال عقل هذا المبتدع كيف غفل عما يلزمه على هذه المقالة الشنيعة من اللوازم التي لا تدخل تحت وهم. Imam Sanusi quotes him. He says, Ibn Hazm has mentioned in Al-Milal wa Nihal, his book, that Allah is powerful enough to have He is powerful over having a son. Now, why Ibn Hazm said this? He said, because if Allah is not powerful in having a son, then you have declared Him as incapable. So you see, similar line of thinking which the Deobandis have. They say, Allah can lie. The Sunni answer to this is, lying is impossible for Allah. The Deobandi answer back, the objection is that if you say Allah cannot lie, you are saying He is incapable. Similarly, Ibn Hazm, he did the same. He said Allah can have a son. The Ahl Sunnah said this is impossible for Allah. Ibn Hazm explained that if you say it is impossible, then you have rendered inability to Allah. But this is incorrect of Ibn Hazm and of the Deobandis. Why? Because they misunderstand that the power of Allah Most High does not relate to impossibilities. Impossibilities do not fall within the divine Qudra, the power of Allah Most High. Imam Sanusi, commenting on Ibn Hazm, says that look at the intellectual derangement of this innovator, how he has thought of something, how he has become so ghafil and forgetful to utter such an ugly statement and necessitate such matters which are beyond imagination. So he refutes this soundly, as other scholars of Ahlul Sunnah did. So if we look in Sharh al-Maqasid of Imam Taftazani alayhi rahmah, he also refutes this wrong belief. He states regarding kadhib, lying, وَهُوَ عَلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى مُحَالٌ بِالْإِجْمَاعِ وَأَخْبَارِ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّلَامُ وَلِكَوْنِهِ نَقْصًا عِنْدَ الْعُقَلَاءِ. He says lying, it is impossible for Allah Most High. And this is unanimous, he says, bil ijma', the unanimous agreement of Ahlul Sunnah. And due to the reports of the Prophets alayhimus salatu wasalam, we know lying is impossible for Allah, and due to lying being a defect according to all rational thinkers. فَلِأَنَّ الْكَذِبَ نَقْصٌ بِاتِّفَاقِ الْعُقَلَاءِ, because indeed lying is defective according to all intellectuals, all thinkers. وَهُوَ عَلَى اللَّهِ مُحَالٌ, and for Allah it is impossible. لِمَا فِيهِ مِنْ أَمَارَةِ الْعَجْزِ أَوِ الْجَهْلِ أَوِ الْعَبَثِ, due to lying having signs of incapability, ignorance, or absurdity, and so on. So lying is impossible for Allah Most High. In the tafsir of Imam Fakhruddin Razi alayhi rahmah, he also refuted this wrong belief. This is volume 21, page 186. He mentions under Surah 19, verse 35, Inna thabutal waladi lahu muhalun, that establishing a son for Allah is impossible. فَقَوْلُنَا مَا كَانَ لِلَّهِ أَن يَتَّخِذَ مِنْ وَلَدٍ كَقَوْلِهِ مَا كَانَ لِلَّهِ أَن يَقُولَ لِأَحَدٍ إِنَّهُ وَلَدِي لِأَنَّ هَذَا الْخَبَرَ كَذِبٌ وَالْكَذِبُ لَا يَلِيقُ بِحِكْمَةِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى وَكَمَالِهِ. He says, when Allah Most High mentions in the Quran, it is not befitting for Allah that He has a son, this is like the statement that it is not befitting for Allah that He says, this is my son. Because this would be a lie, and lying is not befitting the divine wisdom of Allah Most High nor His perfection. Then he says, فَقَوْلُهُ مَا كَانَ لِلَّهِ أَن يَتَّخِذَ مِنْ وَلَدٍ كَقَوْلِنَا مَا كَانَ لِلَّهِ أَن يَظْلِمَ أَيْ لَا يَلِيقُ ذَلِكَ بِحِكْمَتِهِ وَكَمَالِ إِلَهِيَّتِهِ. He says, on the statement of Allah that it is not befitting for Allah to have a son is like our statement that it is not befitting for Allah that He oppresses, that He does dhulm. i.e., it is not befitting His wisdom and His divine perfection. Then he mentions Al-Jubba'i, who was a Mu'tazili, another deviant, and he refutes his wrong belief. واحتج الجبائي بالآية بناء على هذا التفسير أنه ليس لله أن يفعل كل شيء لأنه تعالى صرح بأنه ليس له هذا الإيجاد أي ليس له هذا الاختيار. He says that Jubba'i the Mu'tazili, he saw this verse that it is not befitting for Allah to have a son, and he understood it as meaning that it is not befitting for Allah to do everything. But Allah does possess the choice, according to Jubba'i, that Allah does possess the power to have a son, but He will choose not to. Now this was refuted by the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah. Imam Razi says, وَأَجَابَ أَصْحَابُنَا, and our companions, meaning our Sunni scholars, replied to Jubba'i, and they said, وَأَجَابَ أَصْحَابُنَا عَنْهُ بِأَنَّ الْكَذِبَ مُحَالٌ عَلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. They replied to him and said that lying is impossible for Allah Most High. It is impossible for Him to have a son. Because if you assert that it is possible for Him to have a son, Allah has mentioned in the Quran that it is not befitting for Him to have a son. When He has mentioned this, then for it to happen is totally impossible. We cannot say it is possible at all. So you see, Al-Jubba'i is refuted here. Ibn Hazm was also refuted by Ahlul Sunnah, and so have the Deobandis been refuted by Ahlul Sunnah. This argument that something which is absurd, something which is an impossibility, to ascribe it towards Allah, this is what the deviants have done. And their argument is that if you say that these things are impossible, you are declaring Allah as incapable. This is a wrong argument and has been rejected by Sunni scholars, as we can see in the texts of Aqidah and in the commentaries of the Holy Quran. This is Al-Musamara Sharhul المصايرة في العقائد المنجية في الآخرة. This is the commentary by Ibn Abi Sharif al-Shafi'i rahimahullah upon the work of Kamaluddin Ibn al-Humam rahimahullah, the great Hanafi Sheikh. Now in here Ibn Humam quotes Sahib al-Umda, Imam Abul Barakat Nasafi rahimahullah, the great Hanafi, the author of Umdatul Aqā'id, the author of Kanzul Daqa'iq, the author of Tafsir Nasafi, a great commentary on the Holy Quran. Imam Ibn Humam mentions his quote, and Ibn Abi Sharif also comments on this quotation of Imam Abul Barakat Nasafi. What does he mention? He mentions there, ثم قال أي صاحب العمدة لا يوصف الله تعالى بالقدرة على الظلم والسفه والكذب لأن المحال لا يدخل تحت القدرة أي لا يصلح متعلقا لها. He says Sahib al-Umda, Imam Nasafi, states that Allah cannot be described, the power of Allah cannot be described as being upon oppression, foolishness or lying, because the impossible matters do not fall within the divine power. So explicitly he states that these impossible things do not fall within the divine power. And he mentions that they are not befitting to fall within the divine power. It is not befitting for them. وَعِنْدَ الْمُعْتَزِلَةِ يَقْدِرُ تَعَالَى عَلَى كُلٍّ مِمَّا ذُكِرَ وَلَا يَفْعَلُ. He says, however, according to the Mu'tazila, and it was some of the Mu'tazila, their belief, that Allah does have the power to do everything mentioned here, these absurdities. However, He chooses not to do it. So, Him having the power and then just choosing not to do it, this is a deviant belief. And in numerous places in Al-Musamara, it mentions, as it does in Tafsir Razi and in other books of Aqidah, that lying is an impossibility and it is a defect, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free from such deficiencies and defective attributes. These are impossible for Allah Most High. And the fact that they are impossible does not mean Allah is incapable, as the Deobandis are asserting, as Ibn Hazm also asserted. That is totally incorrect. In Tafsir Razi, in volume 10, page 190, under the verse, Surah 4, verse 93, when Allah Most High was speaking about the person who kills deliberately, murderers. It mentions here, Imam Razi states, لِأَنَّ الْوَعِيدَ قِسْمٌ مِنْ أَقْسَامِ الْخَبَرِ. He says wa'id, the threat to punish, is a type of khabar, a type of report, news. فَإِذَا جُوِّزَ عَلَى اللَّهِ الْخُلْفُ فِيهِ فَقَدْ جُوِّزَ الْكَذِبُ عَلَى اللَّهِ. He says, if it is permitted for Allah to break His promise, then it is permitted for Allah to lie. And then he says, وَهَذَا خَطَأٌ عَظِيمٌ. And this is a grave error. In other words, if a person says it is possible for Allah to break His promise, then that person is effectively saying it is possible for Allah to lie. Imam Razi says this is a grave error, but he goes further. He says, بَلْ يَقْرَبُ مِنْ أَنْ يَكُونَ كُفْرًا. Rather, it is close to being kufr, disbelief. Why? فَإِنَّ الْعُقَلَاءَ أَجْمَعُوا عَلَىٰ أَنَّهُ تَعَالَى مُنَزَّهٌ عَنِ الْكَذِبِ. Because the uqala, the people of intellect, have all unanimously agreed that He Most High is free from lying. He is pure from lying. So this affirms the correct creed. So in summary, what we can see, Allah being perfect, as I mentioned right in the beginning, the verse from Al-Quran Al-Kareem, Surah 23, verse 91, Subhanallahi amma yasifun. Purity, glory be to Allah above what they ascribe to Him. He is pure from what they ascribe to Him. So in other words, when we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is perfect and pure from what they ascribe to Him, we say He is also inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Indeed, Allah is powerful over everything. But we understand everything which is possible, not the impossible nor the necessary. And this means that things which are absurdities and defects and deficiencies, they are excluded from the divine power and will of Allah Most High. And this wrong belief of the Deobandis and others who assert that Allah Most High is powerful over lying, this is totally deviant and wrong and incorrect. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us steadfast upon the right path. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينَ.